Best Bet Show presented by BetRivers. We are the three-man weave. I'm Kai McEwen, here to take you through another excellent day of college basketball. Fellas, I know we got takeaways from yesterday. I got one that you guys might repeat. I see it discussed in the chat already. It involves Iowa State and Texas Tech. But Jim, what did you see yesterday? What are your takeaways?
I'm going to leave that to you, Kai, because I figured that one would come up. Chicago State is competent. How about those boys? Road Warriors covered 3 in a row, won 3 of the last 4, including that win over Aurora. Efficiency is nuts right now. It's a weird environment for betting unders, which is really tough. I am obviously I have an affinity for betting unders, but efficiency is just like up and away. So it's really hard to find nice spots for unders. I've been trying to be careful with that. Last takeaway, Baylor's defense, guys, I've watched it more in detail last night. I don't like how easily they switch everything. And when they have small guards, they end up with a big man on a point guard and a point guard on a center, like constantly. They don't fight through screens at all. It's not a team that should be switching everything. They should be fighting through screens, playing 2 in the ball. Scott Drew knows better than me, Matthew, but that was my takeaway from watching Baylor.
My takeaway, I didn't watch this game because, well, I'm in Naples, Kai, and this game was not televised nationally. Oral Roberts, South Dakota, but Oral Roberts is all the way real. And I know South Dakota's not very good. I understand some of these lopsided results are a function of the watered down league in which they play in. I'm ready to have the Oral Roberts, Charleston, FAU discussion. I still think FAU is the best of those 3, but I'm prepared to put ORU in the this team is probably a pretty good bet to go second weekend. I'm just super impressed. They're so dangerous. Balanced.
Just real quick question. How do you feel about Liberty in that discussion? Just because of where those
I can't get through with Liberty. I know. See, Liberty was my I don't know why I'm not giving them respect, but I just haven't quite yet. And I think it's the roster doesn't excite me for Liberty, but maybe I need to come around to that as they've completely dominated a really good A-Sun league.
That's fair. Yeah, I was just curious.
No, if you recall yesterday, I said shooting splits would be everything in that game. 7 for 29, South Dakota, 18 for 37 for Oral Roberts. That's your ball game. 3-point shooting, baby. That's all that matters. My takeaway, yes, let's talk Iowa State really quick. Up 23 points, had a 99% win probability per KenPom at that point. Went to overtime. Texas Tech wins by 3. Every single Iowa State bet lost. It closed at 2.5. Texas Tech bettors thinking they're pretty sharp. They got the wrong side winner there. Caleb Grill being announced in, Pop Isaac's out, and the game closed 2.5 really confused me. I'm actually pretty shocked we didn't see more Iowa State buyback. That's the beauty of gambling, baby. And also credit to Davion Harmon. Guy put his team on his back, refused to lose mentality. He was incredible down the stretch. So they got a superhero performance from him. Good win, Texas Tech. You get on the board in the Big 12. Speaking of the Big 12, that's where we're going to start our show today. Kansas State at Kansas. It's a rematch of one of the best games of the year and one of the best games, Matthew, I have ever seen in person. K-State got up early in that first game against Kansas, kind of controlled it, but man, KU did them a lot of favors. They were 6 for 29 from 3. A lot of those were open. They were 24 for 34 from the free throw line. Not really indicative of their true ability. Who do you like tonight? It's a big spread. KU -8 at BetRivers.
I think I have the cliche take on this game. I like the spot for KU. It kind of feels like a KU throttle, but I kind of thought the spread was too big, and that's from the token K-State hater on this program. So I'm with you on that one. And we've talked about how KU just hasn't been good as a larger home favorite this season. I think Jim probably has some data on that. But Kai, one little matchup angle you mentioned where KU, I think, had advantages that didn't quite show up to the bottom line last game. They really kept Nolan in check. I mean, I think he only had 4 points. He played a pretty good 4 game, but he was not the dangerous killer. On the other side, Jalen Wilson did whatever he wanted to do. I don't really see that changing tonight. I think just the personnel, the way these teams are built, the edges will sustain for KU. The disadvantages will sustain for K-State. If shots start to fall in equilibrium, Jim, I think KU wins by 10, 12 tonight.
Yeah, I think it's too high. I
still think it's too high. Yeah, I just think that's how it plays.
Kansas is really bad in this situation. They're 5 straight ATS losses as a favorite of 7 or more. They're 2-8 this season as a home favorite of 7 or more. Like, they're just not good in that situation, not built to do that. I would agree with the matchup in the spot, though. Kansas trending up after winning at Rupp. I think that was like a get off the schneid, really struggling. There's the revenge angle. DeJuan Harris is a great, lanky, long defender to throw it in well. He can fight through screens. something those Baylor guards don't do. I'm going to harp on that point. But yeah, and the bigger wings, I think, is a big advantage for Kansas. Now, Gasson coming back might actually help someone to throw at Jalen Wilson. He's more of an athletic, like 6'8", 6'9" guy. He's a nice piece to throw at him, but I don't know how much he can really stop Jalen Wilson, Kai. No one's really stopping Jalen Wilson.
Yeah.
So I just think it's too high to bet Kansas, but the spot and matchup sets up better for them.
Yeah. Also, that first game, KJ Adams crushed K-State inside. Maybe Gasson helps that if he's back, but man, he's so strong. I think he has no problem doing that once again. And you mentioned it, K-State couldn't stop Jalen Wilson. Kansas couldn't stop Keontae Johnson either. I think both guys get what they want. I think both guys find success scoring. But I'm going back to Matt's point about Noel. Kansas did a great job taking him away. My wife was surprised when I told her Noel was their leading scorer because he did absolutely nothing in that game. He couldn't even look for a shot. Harris was
you were hyping her up. You're hyping him up to her.
I was hyping him up. Yeah. I know. So the spread does feel high to me. 8 points is a lot for these two teams, in my opinion, but I do think it's KU's game. I wouldn't want to fade them in this spot. Indiana at Maryland is where we're going next. Matthew went to Indiana for school. He loves his Hoosiers. Matt, are we stopping the IU train? Who's stopping the IU train? No one can, right? Top 20 in KenPom now. They're ranked. They're 4-1 against the spread in their last 5, getting healthier. Do you like your Hoosiers tonight against Maryland? They're laying 3 points at home.
Maryland's laying 3. Yes, Indiana's catching 3.
Excuse me. Maryland's laying 3 points at home. Excuse me. Yes.
And that is why I like Indiana here. Obviously, the home spot for Maryland is a little bit. If you're looking to back Indiana, you don't love that. You just look at the home road splits. Maryland's undefeated at home in conference, have not won on the road. I don't believe the ATS records actually revealed that stark of a split, though. The thing with Indiana is that we talked about how they kind of got going with the Race Thompson injury. I think they had some almost like mandated lineup adjustments that had to be made, and by association, some schematic adjustments. Jalen Hood-Schifino has been great after sort of a tough end to his non-conference where he had that injury. A lot of things I think are contributing to this Indiana role. And with like this newfound success with a smaller, non-too big lineup without Race, even though he's back now, plays well tonight against Maryland, who I think can kill you with a small ball, 5-out type of look. It's a sort of alignment that Indians have problems with historically, Jim. So I like that they have like that in their back pocket. Like, oh yeah, no, we can play that way and we're good at that. So I really like IU here. It feels like kind of the obvious play, just given how well they're playing. But I know I have Maryland rated pretty highly, and I know I respect that home court, and I still couldn't get there on the numbers, so I'm taking IU.
Yeah, I'd lean towards IU too. I tweeted it on Saturday night. Like, I think Indiana might be really good with the way Hood-Schifino's shooting. Like, that was the question coming in. Do they have perimeter shooting? They're like an elite 3-point shooting team. It's ridiculous. I didn't expect that to happen. Hood-Schifino's kind of led the charge there. Maryland is 5-0 against the spread at home in league play, so they have been very good at College Park. You're betting against that rather comfortably, 4 in a row, dating back to the Illinois game in December was the 5th win. But it's been an actual advantage playing at home there. I'm sure they're going to be hyped knowing Indiana's riding high because Indiana's won 5 straight, covered 4 of the last 5. Like, so you got kind of the dueling trends there. I just think Indiana's better. Maryland has had some pretty poor halves this season, and you can't have a bad half against this Indiana team. I think that's trouble. So I also think it's too high. I'd make it like Indiana -0.5. So wrong team favored. Go Hoosiers.
Boy, no way. Can't have Indiana favored at Maryland. Not.
Kai hates IU. Kai hates IU. I don't understand.
Maryland's doing well. They've covered.
I know Maryland's 6. Very good. I know they're very good. They also covered almost beat Purdue and they shot terribly. However, as everyone's mentioned in the chat, the look ahead spot I think is kind of notice or real here. I may have overlooked this when I played IU. Like on the show this morning, everyone's like look ahead. Worry about it because last year at home IU lost to Rutgers in this similar spot. I don't know. Maybe there's something there. Just want to acknowledge it.
I don't subscribe to the look ahead theory.
I usually don't either. I kind of agree.
Per usual, no answer for TJD here. So I do think that's a major advantage for Indiana. Maryland just doesn't have the size. Reese, Scott, it's not going to work. But Maryland going small on the other end, I think it's a really big test for Indiana's defense. A little cat and mouse play between the coaches here, lineup switchability. I don't really want to fade either team. Maryland at home, Indiana right now in their current form. So I stayed away. I think the line is fair. Say fair. West Virginia TCU, we're ping-ponging back to the Big 12. This spread is 2 now at BetRivers. Now, KenPom has this spread at 4, Jim, all healthy. This was 2.5 before the show, but now it's 2. My question to you is Mike Miles worth 1.5 or 2 points? I might argue he's worth a little bit more. Eddie Lampkin's iffy. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think TCU and West Virginia are a little farther apart than Ken Pom has them fully healthy. So if it's 4,
True.
I think it should be more like 6. So now you put it down at 2. I think that's probably fair. Saying that this version of TCU is worse than West Virginia on a neutral floor, I kind of buy that. No real angle historically with Dixon versus Huggins. It's like exactly even, both cover margin and record, so nothing to take away from that. Matt, this just feels more like West Virginia's game. TCU gave a really strong effort after Miles got hurt, going to overtime against Mississippi State. But now you turn around from that, still shorthanded, without your best front court player and your best player in the backcourt. This feels like West Virginia to me. I'm not going to bet it at +2, but I wish I could back my Horned Frogs, but I can't with this version.
Yeah, even with the injuries, I guess I'm just like almost anti-injury guy on this program, but I like TCU here. I just think this line's so cheap. And I know I have West Virginia rated in the clouds. I know I have TCU, at least relative to the market, probably underrated. I kind of like the back against the wall kind. No one believes in us because our 2 key guys are out. Like the guys they have are still solid. It's going to be an ugly path to victory without Miles, no question. But, West Virginia, all you have to do is catch Eric Stevenson on a cold 9. You get a chance to beat him anytime. So I think this kind of bounce back revenge spot is great for TCU. Does it go lower? I think 2's as low as this goes. I think now's the time to hop in if you're buying my counter-punching Horned Frog narrative, Kai.
Yeah, I like the Mountaineers here. They're a really good team, and this is a major chance for them to pad the resume a bit. The committee's not going to search through the archives here and see, oh, you beat TCU without Miles. That doesn't count. It's going to be a quad 1 win. It's going to be huge for the resume. They also beat them once already, and you could argue that's an angle to take the other team. I don't quite see it that way. I think they more so have the answers to beat them. They dominated TCU on the glass. 50% offensive rebounding rate in game 1. 50%, and there's no Lampkin most likely in this game. They also forced 19 turnovers. That's going to go up without Mike Miles in the lineup, or at least it's going to be pretty close to it. I think West Virginia gets it done. I kind of think they went out right here. And I do like the under here as well without Mike Miles in the lineup.
Yeah, Kyle, you take away Miles and Lampkin too, and TCU's like getting to the line advantage against that fouling. I think that decreases a lot.
Mm-hmm. All right, last game on the rundown before Chat Mob Part 1. It's San Diego State and Nevada for a little Mountain West action here. This spread has gone up. Well, it's come back down a little bit. San Diego State -2.5 on the road, Matthew, at Nevada. Starting to separate themselves in the Mountain West, 8-1 in league play, coming off a big win here. You're the Nevada whisperer. What say you?
Yeah, I've kind of lost my Nevada premonition. They seem to be kind of back and forth. I can't get a read on them. And this game makes no sense to me from a side perspective, Jim. I'm back and forth on it. Clearly the market is as well based on the movement. As Jimmy totals on this show, I kind of like the under here. I feel like this game gets really, really grody. 137.5 feels kind of high. So that's a once in a lifetime total take from Matthias to kick off this game.
Yeah, rather shocking. San Diego State has been playing a lot slower in league play than they did in non-con. Non-con, it was like, oh, transition. They're kind of doing what TCU did, where they speed up and score in up-tempo fashion. It's not really been the case in league play, but efficiency has kept some of their totals high. Surprising coaching splits here. I was shocked to find that Brian Dutcher is 8-0 straight up against Alford, but only 1-7 against the spread.
Wow.
Alford has kept things really close. Of course, Kai, this is the closest to a pick 'em any of those spreads has been.
Right.
So you don't have that kind of leeway where if you're Alford, you're getting the points to keep it close. So I'm throwing that out a little bit. If you have never beat him straight up, you can't own him. Like I won't say that Alford owns Dutcher when he's 0-8. So I actually do still kind of slightly lean towards the Aztecs here, but where it's at, I don't feel like I have any big number advantage.
Yeah, I don't think Nevada's bad by any means. I think their value's peaked though, right? That they've lost 3 of the last 5. They're 1-4 against the spread in the last 5. I just think they've gotten to the top of their market value and they can't go much higher. Whereas San Diego State, again, I thought this team was top 15 early in the season. I still think they have room to grow. They were up by 18 in the first matchup here. They never trailed. It was a cold shooting night for Nevada, to be sure, but San Diego State got whatever it wanted offensively. I'm on San Diego State again in this game. I like them here. Even at -2.5 would lean their way.
Yeah, they killed them in transition. Like Alfred had a quote directly about like, we cannot let that happen again. I think it's another point in favor of under. And yeah, I kind of think Nevada responds, but I don't know. Value's questionable here. So That's all I got. Next game.
Fantastic. Well, let's go to the chat mob, actually. Jim is our chat czar today. What do you got?
Kai, you were most recently in St. Louis of the three of us, but we've all spent time living in that lovely city. The Bills are, though, they're on the road. They're in New York at Fordham at the Rose Hill Gym. 4-point road favorites. SLU right now atop the A10. So I need wins to stay above VCU and Dayton. Kai, do they get that on the road here?
I lean towards SLU. It's a bit scary. Fordham's been a lot better this season. They've been good at home. SLU on the road is always kind of scary, but I still think this team is crazy talented, arguably the most talented team in the A10. They have been playing well. I do like them at -4 here still at Fordham.
Yeah, 4 or 5 straight games in double figures for Perkins. He's starting to look legit.
Fordham's been good lately.
They have been good for sure. They've
last
been
5 really good.
My close SLU friend is like, this is a game Travis Ford falls on his face. So he feels like this is a Fordham outright win. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Matthew, UNLV, my old running Rebels, they are headed to Colorado State. Colorado State is taking money here. It's like a 1.5 opener up to 3. How do you feel about this one?
I'm tempted to go back to the Colorado State well. Kai threw egg in my face, telling me that Boise would smack Colorado State, and they sure as hell did. I still think Colorado State's a good buy low. I think that was just Boise is awesome, and I need to just reassess my take on that team. So I like the Rams here, Jimmy.
Yeah, I kind of do too. A couple other Mountain West one. Kyle, go to you here from Pat. Fresno at Wyoming. Wyoming's taking big money. 3 to 5, 2.5 to 5, laying that at home. They are healthier. Do we think the Cowboys are trending up to a lot of the preseason expectations for them?
Look, I did lay 4, but I still think it's kind of ridiculous how much money they're taking. This team's been really bad with this current lineup too, especially. And Fresno's been scrappy, and them as a 5-point dog at Wyoming right now, that makes me a little bit nervous. I'm nervous about the -4 I have, Jim, but it felt right with the spot. Wyoming's much better at home, and I don't really believe in Fresno, frankly, and I'm trying to put that to the test here.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Numbers really low, but I kind of still lean under. I wish it was like 130 and I'd be all over the under, but 127 is less exciting to me. Matt, another one from Pat. Akron -2.5 on the road at Buffalo. I saw a good Majeski tweet before we get on here, Jordan Majeski, saying Akron will not play the dumb game that Buffalo wants them to, which kind of makes me lean towards the Zips.
I like Buffalo on the number, but you're right, though. Akron's always hyper-disciplined in this type of spot, and I don't like watching Buffalo play half-court offense at all. Their fan forms certainly don't either. This number's been bet up to 147, 148, so some smart total people seem to think Buffalo does dictate pace. I would think that favors them, Kai. I don't know. Maybe I'd take Buffalo at a better number.
Yeah, this was like pick when it opened, right?
Yeah, it's up to 2.5. Yeah, Buffalo +3 at home. I think it's a pretty good bet.
That can't be an easy place to play. I think historically, all MAC teams, and especially Akron, have struggled there. So I actually lean towards Buffalo.
Buffalo, very erratic team for sure.
Very erratic.
Yes.
We're trying to figure out what to do with Clemson these days. They are a 4.5-point road favorite at BC. Are they just going to keep winning and go 19-1 in the ACC? You tell me. Yeah,
probably. Doesn't this feel short? It feels short to have Clemson -4.5, -4 at Boston College, but Boston College hasn't been bad lately. They're talented enough to keep this close, and there's a reason Clemson's still like 60th, 55th in KenPom. They're not winning these games by much. They're not an elite team. It will come back down to earth eventually. So I think the line's pretty fair here. I stayed away.
Yeah, I actually kind of liked BC. I don't think they're that much worse. Like 8 points worse on a neutral. I actually don't feel that way.
Question on health there. Clemson's fine, except Brevin Galloway's probably still out from his ball injury.
His testicle issue.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not great. All right. 2 more. We'll go back to the outline. Matt, going to you for Ball State at Bowling Green. You get another MAC question here. It's another Bowling Green is similar to Buffalo, like erratic, plays really ridiculous games, hard to figure out. Ball State, I trust more. They're a 1.5-point road favorite, similar to that game as well. What do you feel on this one? Side or total? Both got asked about.
I like a lot of road favorites tonight. Just as a general theme, I like Ball State here. I know Bowling Green's been playing better-ish, and Ball State's not as awesome as they looked, I think, 3 weeks ago. I still think this is too cheap. It seems like an overreaction to the recent form. Sam Towns did come back last game for Bowling Green. He is important just because they have literally no one up front other than Agee to like defend the rim, and their defense has been porous. I do think he kind of matters. I don't know. I ended up staying away. It just felt wrong to me, Kai, but I still lean Ball State.
I think Ball State's a pace taker, and against Bowling Green, like they're willing to run. Like they played some fast games.
I do like over. Slow. Yeah.
All right, last one. I'm going to field this, Kai, unless you have a super differing opinion. Boise State -8 at Air Force. I love Air Force here. I think that's just too many points. I know Corbin Green's been out, which is an issue, but Air Force is still pretty competent, and they have a very strong home court advantage there. I think it should be like 5. So I'm going to take the +8. Kai, any disagreement?
Not really.
Okay.
I don't like fading Boise, but Air Force at home, not a bad way to do it.
All right, I'll let you take back over in the outline. We've got plenty of games still to come in Chat Mob Part 2.
Let's do Northwestern at Iowa. Should we be respecting Northwestern a bit more, guys? This team's 6-3 in the Big Ten. They're 5-2 against the spread the last 7. They're safely in the field, Jim, right now. Chris Collins trying to get his Wildcats back to the dance, but Iowa's been really good lately as well. 6-1 against the spread their last 7. We know they're good at home. 10-2 against the spread at home. Besides that whole Eastern Illinois thing that we don't talk about anymore. Jim, who do you like in this game? Iowa laying 7.
Yeah, that game didn't happen. I think Northwestern's actually a pretty feisty squad.
I agree.
I lean to them on the spread here. I know Big 10, Big 12, those home courts, we always talk about them, but I don't know if they've been that strong. Big 12 especially, I looked at it today, not super strong. I think Northwestern can be a very frustrating defensive team to play against. Their guards are big and strong, so they can switch a little bit more effectively than other teams. Baylor, still thinking about that. In Iowa, while they did get a lot of juju back last game offensively with Pat McCaffrey back and they shot the lights out, I still have some questions with their creation and chemistry coming together. Matt, what I really like here is the under. It's my best bet under. I'm looking at BetRivers now. I see 150.5, which is up a point from pre-show. I will take that extra point of value. I think Northwestern drags this more into a crawl kind of a game, and hopefully can keep this 70 possessions, I think is where it's projected. If we can get this like 66, I'll feel much better about it. And Iowa may struggle to score against Journalism Matumbo in the paint. That's what I call Matthew Nicholson.
I kind of like the under from a schedule spot, Jim. I think, or I know, I can look at the schedule and confirm. Kai, Iowa played on Sunday, so only 1 day turnaround. Northwestern with only a 2 day turnaround. Both played, I think, Thursday and Wednesday a week before. Northwestern actually played Monday as well. So yeah, it's kind of that part of the Big Ten schedule where a lot of games, short amount of time. I do think the legs will start to tire. Probably helps your pace from an under perspective. Probably helps Northwestern, right? Correlation there between the under and the dog, especially that's when Northwestern's at their best, is when it gets ugly and mucky. I also don't want to take Northwestern because I feel like this is a spot where Iowa hits 6 of their first 7 threes. I'm like, oh, I took Northwestern at Iowa? Really? No, Matt, but like Matt 2021 would be laughing at that take. So I say it away, but I think there are some interesting angles for the under and for the Northwestern side.
Yeah, their offense, Northwestern's offense has actually been what's carried them in Big Ten play. They can really attack the hoop. They get to the line. They space the floor with those forwards who can stretch it. And they have guards who can make big time shots. Someone in the chat said Bubui, Aldige, best guard combo in the Big Ten. I don't really agree with that. I don't think. I need to think about that one a little bit. But Aldige definitely makes big time shots. There's no denying that. I don't think that works as well, though, Jim, against Iowa. The mobile bigs Iowa has, the fact they don't foul, they are a sieve on defense. You can just score on them no matter what, I guess. But maybe not so much, not as big of an advantage as opposed to what it would be against the bigger Big Ten teams. Northwestern's defense, it's regressed a bit. Teams who can make outside shots have success. Iowa, with Pat McCaffrey, can probably do that. Big spread, I'd probably lean Northwestern if anything, but I'm staying away as well.
Yeah, I forgot one little factoid to mention. Fran is 11-4 against the spread against Collins, +3 cover margin. He's kind of owned him in Big Ten play fairly consistently, but this is a better Northwestern team, so we'll see.
Best ever?
Right. Best ever Northwestern team? Currently, I think it is.
Yeah.
per KenPom, but I'll always have a soft spot for the Bryant McIntosh team. Love that.
I will too. It was a fun team.
Virginia Tech at Miami, back in the ACC here. Miami laying 3.5. Matt, Vatek is continuing his climb back up the ladder with Hunter Couture back in. Who do you like in this game?
I like Canes at home. I do. It feels like a little bit of a big number to lay just because Vatek with Couture back does feel, in my opinion, like the slightly better team. I guess I'd probably have them as near equals, but I like the spot here for Miami coming back home, 3 straight road games. And they've been really good at home this year. Beat Syracuse, Boston College. They shot the lights out. Virginia. I just like the U here, Jim. The gut just screams like they win this game. It's kind of a weak take for me, but I think Miami first half, Miami full game. I was like, yeah, it feels right to me.
Yeah, the angle I liked here is potentially the over. 5 straight between these two have gone over, and that kind of reads well to me, like execute or efficiency based over, where the Miami guards I think can get in the lane against a somewhat smaller, less athletic backcourt for Virginia Tech, and then Virginia Tech's execution against Miami's porous defense. I'm gonna call it porous, Kai. I'm not gonna be too kind to them. I think Virginia Tech can find a way to score pretty consistently as well.
Yes.
So I would ride with that over train on Miami Vatech.
Wow, Matt, your Miami take pains me because my best bet is Virginia Tech plus 3.5
Miami,
here.
I'm sorry, I know.
When Couture went down in the BC game, Vatech was 24th in the country per KenPom. They dropped to 45th without him in the lineup. They're currently 50th. They've covered 3 straight games, 2 straight wins. They're undervalued. They're not the 50th best team in the country. They're probably closer to the 30th or maybe the 25th. In that case, this spread should be lower. Miami's no slouch. I think Omier probably outworks Basili. Maybe Mutz can muscle up with him a little bit. We'll see. And Miami's guards, I still don't trust. They take erratic shots. They do dumb stuff. Vatech's offensive numbers in the ACC, not indicative of their true ability. With Couture back in the lineup, they're much better than those numbers say. I just think it's a value play here, so I'm taking the Hokies at plus 3.5. Best bet.
Yeah, Maddox
Was there
like maybe back? He was out for personal reasons, like a family thing. They don't know for sure, I think.
Was there a reason that Padula only played 17 minutes? I think he just played the Camden kid, right? Because he made some shots or something. I thought that was weird.
The Camden kid.
The Camden
kid.
kid.
4 fouls,
I like saying Camden kid. We're old enough where we can say kid. We're old enough where we can say kid, by the way. I'm leaning all the way into that. They got this kid Camden. He can really shoot it. I'm all the way.
I've never liked the kid thing. Never liked it.
I'm sorry. We're old enough now. We can do it. It's cool.
They're 18 to 21.
They're legal adults, so
they can fight in the military.
Yeah, we acted like real mature adults at 21. Yeah, you're right.
All right. Texas A&M at Arkansas is our next game in the SEC. Massive tournament game implications here, Jim. Implications for the NCAA tournament, that is. Arkansas's resume buoyed by strong predictive metrics. The resume itself
sucks.
It's lacking tremendously. They need a win. But A&M, weighed down by those non-con losses, they need to stack wins as well. Who do you got in this game? Arkansas is laying 3.5 at home.
Yeah, Arkansas is like 3-6 against the top 2 quadrants, and they have a loss outside of the top 2 quadrants. Like their resume's bad. It's really
it's not a good team. It's not a good team.
Yeah, but they're still going to get like a 7 or 8 seed because for some reason their metrics are pretty solid and they blow out bad teams. Ta-da, whatever. Matt, most shocking coaching splits of the show today. Musselman has been punked by Buzz Williams over and over and over again. He's 0-6 against the spread, not covering by 10 points per game. Like it's not even close. Buzz Williams teams have dominated him. They won big in the SEC tournament last year. It's been a pretty consistent trend. I mean, I know it's only 6 games, but I kind of buy it. You can't beat Texas A&M with effort, defense, and switchability because that's what they do too, and they can almost do it better than this particular version of Arkansas. Spread's a little low, but based on the way the teams are playing, I still like Texas A&M here, Matthew.
I do too. The numbers, I don't know, it feels a little bit short, but I like A&M here too. I look at this Arkansas team again. The roster really is just a house of cards with the injuries they've had. It's just a heavy reliance on, your Devo Davises and the Mitchells. I mean, they've been in and out of the lineup too. Graham came back last game. I guess I just don't like the way this lineup looks. Right, it's much less of the blend of old, grizzled, proven vets and young, awesome talent, and it's just kind of a shell of itself. So I'm looking to fade it. I think you ride the A&M wave here, and you trust the splits that Jim mentioned.
Yeah, Arkansas is athletic enough to combat A&M on the glass, but they are aggressive. They foul a ton. A&M maybe lives the line here. Bud Walton Arena, maybe give Arkansas a bit of an edge. I'm going back and forth here. With the refs, they swallow the whistle here for their hogs, Matt. I think the talent's there for Arkansas.
I know. I worry about that.
Yeah, the talent's there for Arkansas to find success here. They need to rediscover their shooting. It's been a big problem for them. And against A&M, that's bad. You can score from the outside. You can't really score inside against A&M. It's a lot tougher. Current form says A&M is definitely the play here, but I think Arkansas is in a more desperate spot given the SEC standings currently. I'm staying away when those 2 points go head to head.
This could be a free throw shooting contest too. Yeah, you're right. Especially at Bud Walton. And man, I just feel like Arkansas, those fans, Musselman whining. They've been so whiny this year. They probably get a few calls go their way. That could put them over the top.
I saw an Arkansas blog account tweet that it's 4 straight games. They've been like -12 to -15 in free throw disparity in the second half. And I'm sure that Musselman is like making that point to the refs every game. Watch out for that. And at some point, Arkansas plays well late in the year. Like they do it every year. This swoon has lasted longer than most seasons, but I still expect them to start playing well. Yeah, I'm torn.
Next
Nick Smith is
game.
not back, Kalante, for the record. Just on the
Who?
chat, not back, still dealing
Oh.
with like he asked if we expect him back. Maybe at some point in February, but it seems like it's kind of a weird dynamic going on there.
NBA draft will be his sole focus, is my prediction. Go ahead, Kai.
Wake Forest at Duke is our
Wake.
last game
Take
for
Wake
Chat
next.
Mob Part 2. Matthew just has to jump in. I'm going to kick
Had
it to you first, buddy. Let me set you up. Wake Forest is 8-point dogs to Duke. Duke, Matt, your boys are 2-8 against the spread in the last 10 games. Do they continue their swoon, we'll say?
I do. Like, here's how I looked at this handicap. I mentioned this morning. What was Duke laying against Pitt? Like, we all jumped on Pitt. It was like the obvious spread, right? And we all took Pitt and we all cashed. I know Duke made it close at the end, but played pretty close to our number. I still think Wake's better than Pitt. So it feels dumb. If you took Pitt then, you should be taking Wake for sure here. I know Roach is back and it's his, third game back. He matters. Duke still has a lot of issues, man. Offensively, they're not connected. I think you're in a pretty big coaching advantage here tonight. So I take Wake.
Wow.
I know the revenge angle is real. I still take Wake. Put it aside.
I love Wake. The coaching thing there. Wow, I love it.
I think you're hand waving Roach a little bit. He didn't play in that Pitt game.
He's good.
Yeah,
so
I'm probably
that was 8, and this is like 7.5, 8. Like I think you're actually getting a little bit of a difference there. Wake coming off the loss over the weekend, rather disappointing for them. They were close in that NC State game and just couldn't pull it out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, 3 in a row. You're kind of backs against the wall. Do you want to make a postseason argument or not? This is a rather big one. Get on the road, get a Q1 win. I think maybe it's a little high, Kai, but I still think Duke's going to start trending up at some point too. And they've played a little bit better lately. I know Whitehead hurts, but Duke at home spooks me a little bit. Too much to fade them.
With Whitehead out, that's part of the reason I like Wake as well. They don't need him per se, but he does mean something for their offense and certainly for their depth. With him out, their depth is a real issue in the backcourt. And Wake did beat them by 11 in game 1. And again, like I said earlier, this team might have the blueprint here to beat them again. I don't subscribe as much to the revenge factor. I need to see heavy data on that one. Wake's offense has been awesome also. Number 1 in ACC play. I think that's enough to stay within 8 or 9 points. The NC State game was really disappointing. I was on Wake. They are up for most of the game there, but I think they can stick around with Duke today. So I'm leaning their way at 8.
Kai, you're not excited about Jaden Shoot minutes with Tariq Whitehead out? He got 13 of them against Georgia Tech.
Proctor's been very good. We should tip our cap. My guy Proctor's been much better. Sure. Lately, so
look, Duke's winning games, but 2-8 against the spread. They're always overvalued. That's just kind of comes to the territory, and I think they're not that dominant this year as the analytics support. Chat Mob Part 2, Jim. What do we got?
Let's do it. Kai, right back to you to talk about the disappointing Chicago squad, the Ramblers. They are 14.5-point road dogs at Dayton, who Dayton is just a tough team to figure out. They were trending down, and then they play a game where they win by 50, and you're like, oh, yeah, that's what Dayton's capable of. Murdered Richmond over the weekend. How do you see this one, Kai?
Well, Loyola took money. I think this was like 16 and a half, maybe.
Good luck.
Yeah, I say good luck as well. This Loyola team is truly terrible. And I say that with great respect to our dude, Valentine. This team is not it this year. And on the road against an angry Dayton team, who I certainly can't trust as well, but I could easily see Dayton blowing this game out. Loyola is just not in good shape.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. We're going to holster VCU Davidson for Matthew's best bet. So we're going to skip over going straight A10 to A10. Matt, you get Nebraska at Illinois. Illinois, a 14-point home favorite against a very injury-marred Nebraska squad. They've been limping lately, just on the court and with those injuries. Are you back in Illinois, back home?
Yeah, it's big. It's all or nothing for me. I didn't officially bet it, but that's certainly the way I lean. I think, everyone's on the Illinois back train. I think that's the right take. And Nebraska had their fun little run, but it's just not a team built to withstand injuries, right? Most of these Big Ten teams have depth and legit talent that they can, miss 1 or 2 guys. Hoiberg did a better job constructing that roster this offseason. It's still not very deep, and they can't like respond from what they have to deal with right now. So
yeah, Vanderbilt and Gary both done for the year. Last 3 games, lost by 11 to Penn State, 15 Northwestern, 19 Maryland. I think they're
2 best defenders, maybe. Like,
down.
Yeah, they don't have the firepower.
Yep. All right, Kai, Toledo first half against Miami, Ohio. Is that a auto bet for us here? Preston Trout is curious.
Maybe.
This will be an
They're
action bet
minus
for us.
5.5. They're
Miami,
minus
Hi,
Ohio.
Miami, you're the drum beater of defense, being terrible, right?
It's terrible. I think Toledo will score 100, but
Yeah.
Miami's also a team I can't really get right either side, so I'm staying away personally.
Yeah, I'll probably push for Toledo first half in our Action Network bet.
Yep, I will too. I'll subscribe.
Sure, we'll take
Matt,
it.
Will Jones asked about UConn first half against DePaul. Probably around the same thing. It's a 10-point road favorite, so 5.5, 6, I would imagine. Any take on that?
I think DePaul competes. I think NA back in the mix. He's been back for a while now, but just the fact that he is back, you have to have some upfront resistance to those bigs, and I don't trust UConn's guards on the road to lay that either. So nothing for me.
I want to back DePaul, but guys, my guy Caleb Murphy is doing exactly what I said he would, just playing horrifically. His O ratings in 4 games since returning: 70, 79, 64, 66. He scores like 6 points on 10 shots every game. That's a real disadvantage against UConn. Although I think UConn is broken, that spooks me on backing DePaul. All right, Kai, I think last one. Well, no, we got a couple more flowing in here. But Matt Akers asked about Kentucky minus 7.5 at Ole Miss. Big Blue Nation looking to get right. Ole Miss has been really, really bad lately. Does Kentucky get back on track after that home loss this weekend?
If Matthew Morrell is out, I like. Oh, sorry, I thought you were asking me.
That was to Kai.
No, with Kai. Wait, who's it to?
If Matthew Morrell is out, I like Kentucky. Even if he's in, I might lean Kentucky still. Ole Miss has not been great.
Ruffin missed last game too, I believe, for Ole Miss. They're just really struggling for backcourt creators at this point. Matthew, Northern Illinois at Western Michigan. Northern Illinois +4. I think that Northern Illinois is rather overvalued after they beat Kent State when they shot the absolute freaking lights out. And they turned around after that game and got smashed by Ball State. I kind of think they lose again here at Western Michigan and don't cover 4.
I lean that way, Jim. I did watch a little bit of that game where they where Coit went off, that stud JUCO guy. Like, and I use whole handicap is if these JUCO guys pan out, they have a chance to be competitive. And that was like, oh crap, they actually might be legit. So I'm kind of thinking NIU might be decent, but my other Matt puppet here is agreeing with you. I think Western Michigan's really good, or really undervalued, I should say.
Yeah, they were missing Trey Maddox. Western Michigan was this weekend against Central Michigan. He does matter. So if he's back out again, then I'd probably pump the brakes a little bit. Keep an eye on that one. We discussed Air Force. We discussed Toledo. I believe that is it. Let's go to best bets. Reiterate, mine was Northwestern, Iowa under 150.5. That is against the steam, so play carefully if you respect the market. I just think Northwestern's defense, while it has been declining, is still really solid, keeps it slow. In Iowa, while they will score efficiently, I just don't think there will be enough possessions to get there. All right, Kai, to you.
My best bet is Virginia Tech +3.5. Going with the assumption they are undervalued right now in the current market, riding the Hokies. Matthew.
VCU. Short road favorite going down to Davidson. They smacked him the first time. I think they smacked him again off that really troubling home loss to St. Bonaventure. A game that they probably should have won. They shot terribly. Bonnie shot very well. Bonnies are very well coached, and they have that sort of sneak up on you ability. Concerning they lost at home, though, because Bonnies have not been very good away from Olean. Still, I give them the pass for that. And it's a team that plays really well angry. Like Mike Rhodes gets after his guys at like a really militant level after they lose. All the quotes are like, we're practicing our absolute butts off. I think they come out and just blitz today. Look at Foster Lawyer's stats in the historical matchups with VCU. The pressure just really swallows him up. I think he had like 7 turnovers last game or something. So bad matchup, bad spot. Give me the Rams on the road. -3.
Love it. Love it. You might get -4, BetRivers. I don't want to be the bearer.
I'll lay up to 5. I think
here.
They smack them. I do.
-4 it is. All right. Thanks for joining us, guys. Hey, we're back tomorrow at noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern for another episode. Big slate tomorrow, big-ish, 47-ish games on Wednesday. Thank you to BetRivers and to Field of 68. Please do hit the like button on the way out. We will see you tomorrow. Good luck with your bets.